You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries. As we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. Michael Fischer, Veteran Lending Counsel, is with us. Welcome, Fish.
How are you doing today, Ron? I'm so excited to be here. It's
Glad
awesome
to have you with us. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We like to celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Some days are more fun to celebrate than other days. I don't even know what this means. World Cork Day. I'm glad. I can tell that our team isn't into World Cork either, because we didn't even do a graphic for it. But Cork is a European superfood staking its claim on supermarket shelves. Oh, wait a second. It can't be staking a claim on supermarket shelves worldwide, because our shelves in California are empty. I just throw that out there. It's a delicious, high-protein, low-fat alternative to soft cheese and yogurt. Why would I want it? Give me the yogurt. Give me ice cream instead of yogurt. I'm just going to go right out there on a limb. And for those of you that so indulge, today is also World Popcorn Day. Now, we did share a graphic earlier with some of the I don't know if it's intriguing or interesting information on popcorn, but we put it out there anyway, so we just share that also. Hey, let's take a look and see what the markets are doing. There is something extremely unique happening in the markets today. Very, very unique occurrence in the markets. And if you follow interest rates, well, I'll tell you in a minute. Dow Jones right now, it's up 68.83. S&P 500 up 7.66. NASDAQ, it is up 3.37. I don't know if we even want to go here today. Oil is up another $2.39 a barrel, up $2.39 a barrel. Now, you know, I got to do it because we've got a first timer right here on Ron Siegel Radio. So one of the things that we like to share all the time is we take a look, and frequently it gets me ill. Josh gets a little bit of a benefit, but I'm going to take a look at this anyway. What are that price that we've seen in oil? 87.83 a barrel. 87. Ugh. That's about double what it was a year ago. But let's take a look. Let's take a quick swing. So my tremendous underwriter, best I've seen in the industry, Lori, she's paying $3.05 a gallon. That is the average for the state of Louisiana. Our production manager, Jody's paying $3.58. Josh, you're at $3.81. So you're holding pretty firm right there. I'm just looking. Fish, you're in Michigan, right?
Yeah, we're sitting somewhere between 3 and 325. Just depends on the day.
Yeah, I'm looking at the average according to AAA right now. You're at $3.20 a gallon.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't want to even get into that conversation with you guys. because I'm sitting right here in the formerly golden state of California. $4.65 a gallon.
Ow!
$4.65. Now, I just made reservations to go to Hawaii. They're at $4.33 a gallon. I don't know if they'll let me in, but $4.33, $3.31 is the average going around the country, around the nation. But hey, what was that really unique occurrence that is in the bond market? It hasn't happened for 3 years. Well, the German 10-year bond is finally not in the negative. You get your money back now if you give the Germany your money for 10 years. So, oh, wait a second. I got to take that back. It just dropped since we've been talking. It was at 0.001, which again, the first time in about 10 years that it's been that high.
So
Right
I don't
now,
have to pay
that-
to loan Germany my money anymore?
Well, they want to come to Cal. They want to come to America, I guess, for the money, right? I mean, I'm looking right here. It's at negative 0.009 right now, and that's up almost 1 basis point. Germans are tough. We're at 1.843 today in the U.S. 1.843. So we'll see what happens on that one. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in the Mortgage Minute. But we're watching all these numbers very, very closely to see what's going on. So what else is going on in the world? Well, we just got 2 more states that have recovered a little bit. So we added Texas and Arizona. They're the latest 2 states that now have recovered all of their jobs since the pandemic started February 2020. So Utah, they're up 3.9% on the job world. Idaho up 1.9. Texas and Arizona are now a plus 0.2. Fish, you're in the same boat as we are here in California. So California, we're still down 4.7%, largest state in the country as far as population, and we're down 4.7% in jobs. Does that surprise anybody at all? I mean, when you think about the way our government works here in California, there are no surprises. Pays you to stay home.
Surprise.
Yeah, not a surprise to me. Michigan down 4.8%. Vermont down 5.9%. New Yorkers, you're leading the way. Oh, no, not quite. You're down 8%. Hawaii is down 12.8% in employment. Maybe it's because they don't want tourists to come there. I'm just throw that out there. 3.6 million jobs we're still 3.6 million jobs below. I know that the president said how great that they've done on the jobs front, but we're still down 3.6 million jobs since pre-pandemic numbers. And as I mentioned, maybe it was before we went on air that I started sharing this information, but California looking to add $12,000 per household in taxes. I mean, can you imagine this state? I mean, the governor thinks that I guess he thinks he's at this big mandate since he didn't get recalled. Now, there were still millions of people that want him recalled, but hey, let's see if we can double our taxes. So not just on the wealthy, but on everybody, $12,000. What does he want to do with the money? Socialized medicine. How's that working out, Canada? You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. With mortgage rates climbing, now is the time to act. And we're going to talk a lot today, specifically to heroes. Yeah, that would be the veteran community. If you are a veteran, if you are married to a veteran, if you love a veteran, which a lot of us do, you're not going to want to miss the information that we've got. Michael Fischer, Veteran Lending Counsel, is with us to share some great information. Why is the veteran loan, in my opinion, the absolute best loan on the market? You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990. Nikki is standing by to take your calls. So what is happening in the mortgage world right now? You probably noticed interest rates have been going up. I think that they're going to continue to go up, although they may take a little bit of a drop in the next day or two to settle down a little bit. But we've been telling you, Chapman University came out and they're forecasting by the end of the year 3.9% on a 30-year fixed rate loan. We've also looked and saw that, now I told you about 3.75 is my estimate. And we told you that as of this last Thursday when Freddie Mac came out with their number, 3.45% is the interest rate from Freddie Mac. Doesn't mean you're going to qualify for it. Doesn't mean you get based on their survey. You have to pay 0.7 of a point to get it. But you've got to call and talk to a professional. There's about 37 different items that go into a home loan price. So, you know, when somebody says, when you hear it on TV what the rate is, call it bogus, right? It's just not, it's probably not your rate, but it sounds good for advertising. But here's the issue of what I want to share with you today. Does the rate really matter? And I'm going to share with you, probably not, because we've been showing families all over Southern California and all over the world within the sound of my voice just a few different tips and tricks, because what's really important is your family. It's not important what the market says. What are your goals? What are your objectives? And we've got a couple of them. I'm going to have Josh put two different links right on the screen for you. It's always fun when I give him these things unscripted because we don't script the show. If you've got household debt, and I know the average family has household debt, go and take a look at rsrnodebt.com, rsrnodebt.com. It's going to give you just a little bit of a worksheet there. What is your blended household interest rate? And after you do that, we're going to put together a scenario for you. Nikki will do this, and Josh will get it out to you. rsrrapidpayoff.com, rsrrapidpayoff.com. This particular demonstration, and again, don't pay any attention to the numbers because they are another family's numbers. I took off the names to protect the innocent. But it's actually showing how with proper mortgage planning, you can have a safe, secure retirement and be out of debt in maybe 10 to 12 years without using what I call a higher risk 10 or 15-year mortgage and not spending any extra money. You just have to have a conversation with a loan advisor, not a headset agent. Fish, I think I might have stole that from you, the headset agent. You might have used that line.
I think I often say headset jockey.
Headset jockey, okay.
Riding a horse with that headset on.
That's not so okay. So I repurpose things, and sometimes I don't even get that right. But hey, that's the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990. Today, we are very, very fortunate. Michael Fischer is with the Veteran Lending Council. He's here to share with us. Welcome to the broadcast, Fish.
Thank you, Ron. I'm excited to be here. Excited to share the message and the mission that we have at the Veteran Lending Council. We're all about helping veterans build wealth, manage debt, and find a way to get into houses if they're not in a house yet.
I love that mission, and I've been going through the courses that the Veteran Lending Council has, very, very comprehensive. And I'm going to submit that the average loan officer is missing about 90% of what is taught and what Michael and his organization are sharing. And we're going to try and get into some of that. But Fish, I know you're in Michigan. I'm here in Southern California. We're on the World Wide Web. And I know in a lot of parts of the country, one of the biggest problems that I hear from consumers of all sorts is, how do you get an offer accepted? And then you throw in that they're a veteran, which should be in my opinion, put the person on the top of the stack. And frequently what we don't understand, we don't like. So give me an idea. How would I go about getting a veteran's offer accepted, or something that the seller is going to really like?
Well, Ron, you brought up one of the biggest challenges that veterans face in today's housing market. And it's a perception that for some reason a VA financed offer isn't as good as another offer. There's a lot of reasons perhaps for the perception, but bottom line, the majority of the veterans that are coming in to buy a house, statistically, demographically, are in the same box as the rest of the home buyers out there. And they've got, in most cases, good jobs, good credit scores, good incomes. And these are things that we can easily research. I mean, we can Google them. We can look into all kind of population statistics. And what we find is, in most cases, veterans in veteran households are actually ahead of the median income in most counties and areas in the entire country. So that begs the question, why, if these veterans make more money, have better credit scores, have more money in savings, certainly have less student loan debt, why would they struggle buying a house as compared to somebody who didn't have all those things? And oftentimes we hear, well, it must be the VA loan. That loan must just be terrible because I heard they fall apart. I heard the inspections are awful. I heard, these veterans don't close on time. And so those perceptions in many cases are based on perhaps a little bit of reality. Perhaps at one point, a seller or a real estate agent was struggling on a transaction. And because they don't work with veterans or the VA loan as often, an average realtor might only run across one or two veterans a year. It's easier for them to remember anything that would have gone wrong. So that kind of stands out in their mind. They say, well, last year I had this one transaction with the veteran, and man, it took a few extra days. And I guess if you went back and surveyed that same realtor, they'd probably say, well, yeah, I mean, I had 30 other transactions. You say, well, did any of those other transactions close a day or two late? Well, yeah, they did. But then why is the only one that you remember the VA loan? Because it was such a small segment and it was something unfamiliar to them. So they definitely remember it. So that's one of the main challenges there, is that a lot of folks don't specialize in working with veterans or VA loans. And when they come across them, as you hinted, Ron, it's unfamiliar to them. The second challenge that I think really exists nationwide is, gosh, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, the industry that I love and I advocate for in some cases is not very good at the VA loan. It's a little different loan product. There's a few different steps. There's things that perhaps could trip you up that may not on another product. And there's some shortcuts that loan officers like to take that can get you in hot water. And unfortunately, if we as an industry continue to let professionals go on the street and have those kind of practices, then our veterans are going to continue to trip up and struggle. And quite frankly, the agents and sellers are going to say, I knew it. I knew I was right that VA loan wasn't going to close this smoothly. So it's truly a case of who you work with matters. And if you're working with somebody like Ron or some of the folks that are educated in our programs, they're professionals that are committing to go to the highest levels to learn and to make sure they're not the ones making these mistakes. But unfortunately, that is not the status quo. That is not the industry norm in the lending industry. So
I want to throw a question at you, because this is and I know it sounds like a softball, guys. So it is what it is. But I want Fish to really drill on this one, because one of the things that I think a lot of people have a misconception in the market that we're in right now, where prices are escalating dramatically, and we're getting multiple offers on homes, and the winning offer is frequently much higher than the list price, and we don't have all of the offers. They're not all, the appraisals aren't always coming in, but there are special circumstances in the veteran program that the appraisal doesn't necessarily need to come in at the value, and you can still get full value. Can you explain that a little bit, Fish, for us?
Yeah, and just to kind of continue the last question and move into this question, which is perfect, because this is one of the biggest challenges we face. Number one, oftentimes real estate agents and veterans and people that educate veterans assume that veterans can't do the same type of things that other home buyers could do when they're making an offer. And that's 100% false. They absolutely can. Oftentimes, I'm guessing in California, you know it better than me, but in my market, you'll see a conventional buyer or a cash buyer or a buyer with a different type of financing come in with a financial snapshot with a picture of, hey, this is my credit score. This is the amount of cash that I have. Here's some snapshots of my assets with, of course, account numbers blacked out. And here's, an explanation of why my loan has been pre-underwritten and moved to the top of the pile and how quickly my lender believes they can get that loan through the process. And in some way, shape, or form, our industry thinks they can do that for, a conventional buyer with 50% down, but they can't do that with a veteran. And it blows my mind. You can absolutely do that. You should absolutely do that to present the best possible offer. And, I see a lot of professionals just not treating veterans the same as they would treat another buyer. The other challenge is that those professionals are not educating the veterans. They're assuming the veterans is going to sort out what's going on with the real estate market, as opposed to explaining, look, Mr. Veteran, I understand, how much you've served our country, and I understand you've got 0% down as an option, and we truly want you to use this benefit. This is the reality of this market. And, instead of perhaps you putting 5% down, or you maybe saving all of your money in reserves to invest in stocks, you may need to pay a little bit over list price in this case. And because it's so common in our market, and it's okay. And the VA allows it. And our lender's going to help us run the numbers to show you what this all looks like, so that you can make an informed choice about what you'd want to place your offer at. I wish that the real estate and lending professionals of this country, and that certainly are listening to this particular call, would understand that I don't think the veterans are asking to be placed on a pedestal or treated any different. They're just asked to be treated fairly. Treat them exactly the same, and don't act like I can't submit an offer for a veteran just like I could for any other buyer. Does that make sense, Ron? Now,
it makes sense. I only challenge one part of that, because, like you, I'm a big flag waver.
Sure.
Is the veterans should be treated better than everybody else, in my opinion.
I agree. But I'm saying if you ask them,
yeah,
they most likely will tell you they don't. And I 100% agree that they should be.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not good at timing on these calls, Ron, so you can cut me off, but you'd ask me about the appraisal piece. And I think that comes down to when you're working as a real estate agent or a lending professional to help a veteran buy a home, you got to ask questions when you're communicating with a listing side from the buying side, trying to help a vet get an offer accepted. You got to uncover some objections with the questions that you ask. Ask if that listing side is familiar with the appraisal process. Ask if they have any questions about the appraisal process. Maybe a classic sales process where you're rooting out objections and getting to the heart of what you need to talk about to come to an agreement, right? So in many cases, when you start asking these questions, you'll hear objections about the appraisal. And you hear a lot of misinformation about the appraisal. And Ron, I know from going through the training courses that we offer at the Veteran Lending Council that the VA appraisal is highly misunderstood. Now, one of the things you pointed out is that the VA actually gives.
Fish, we're gonna hold it right there, because there's a process to challenge the appraisal and win. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, with mortgage rates climbing, now's the time to act. And continuing our conversation with Michael Fischer, Veteran Lending Council, helping our veterans. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. With mortgage rates climbing, now's the time to act. That is the subject of the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomedigest.com, rsrhomedigest.com. Find out exactly what the county recorder knows about your property, what the market believes about your property. Story today: with mortgage rates climbing, now's the time to act. Last week, the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rate from Freddie Mac jumped from 3.22 to 3.45. That's the highest point it's been in almost 2 years. If you're thinking about buying a home, this news may come as a bit of a shock, but the truth is, it wasn't entirely unexpected. Experts have been calling for rates to rise in their 2022 projections, and the forecast is now becoming a reality. Here's a look at projections from Freddie Mac for this year. First quarter, 3.4. Well, isn't that a surprise? They're already above that. Second quarter this year, 3.5. Third quarter this year, 3.6. Fourth quarter this year, 3.7. As the numbers show, this jump in rates is in line with the expectations from Freddie Mac. And what they also indicate is that mortgage rates are projected to climbing throughout the year. But should you be worried about rising mortgage rates? What does that really mean for you? As rates increase, even modestly, they impact your monthly mortgage payment and overall affordability. If you're looking to buy a home, rising mortgage rates should be an incentive to act sooner rather than later. The good news is that even though rates are climbing, they're still worth taking advantage of. They are still very, very good. Historical data shows that today's rate, even at 3.45, is still well below the average for the last 5 decades. And if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing a chart right now of mortgage rates compared to the last 5 decades. I hate to say it, but I am one of those that bought my first house. Well, I shouldn't hate to say it. In the 1980s. And yes, I did pay 18%. I was happy to get it at that time. But take a look at the numbers right there. 70s, 8.86. The 80s, 12.7. 90s, 8.12. 2000, 6.27. 2010s, 4.09s. That means you still have a great opportunity to buy now with a rate that's better than what your loved ones may have paid in decades past. If you buy a home, all rates are in the mid-3s. Your monthly mortgage payment will be locked in at that rate for the life of your loan. As you can see from the charts that we've shared, a lot can change in that time frame. Buying now is a great way to protect yourself from rising costs and future rate increases while also securing your payment amount for the long term. Nadia Evangelos, senior economist and director of forecasting at the National Association of Realtors, says, quote, mortgage rates surged in the second week of the year. The 30-year fixed rate rose to 3.45 from 3.22 the previous week. If inflation continues to grow at the current pace, rates will move up even faster in the following months, unquote. Mortgage rates are increasing. This is the bottom line, and they're forecast to be even higher by the end of 2022. If you're planning to buy this year, acting soon may be your most affordable option. Let's chat. That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment, again, brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text SLT Home Digest to 79564 or visit rsrhomedigest.com. rsrhomedigest.com. Continue our conversation this morning. Michael Fischer, Veteran Mortgage Counsel, is with us, and we're chatting about the best loan on the market for the people that allow me and you to do what we do. I mean, I get on radio 6 days a week and share my opinion, and sometimes it's not a popular opinion. Could you imagine doing that in Russia or in China or in Cuba or Venezuela? It's because of the men and women of our military that we're able to do that in complete freedom here in the United States. We appreciate our veterans every day, but we're going to give you some great information today. Michael Fischer is helping us out with the VA loan. And before the break, if you missed the last segment about getting that VA loan approved on an offer, you missed a lot. You need to go back and check it out. But Fish, before the break, we were starting to talk about the appraisal and how there are benefits to the VA appraisal that we don't have in conventional loans or FHA loans or jumbo loans. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely, Ron. On other loan products, conventional, FHA, USDA, jumbo, portfolio loans, in general, you often hear that lending and real estate professionals aren't supposed to work with the appraiser or influence the appraiser. We're supposed to kind of maybe leave that appraiser in their own little lane to do the work independently without any other input, basically public records and a purchase agreement. On the VA loan, it's a slightly different process, and I feel it's more advantageous to the veteran and the buyers and the sellers. The VA actually has two real distinct processes to help buyers and sellers and veterans come to value on a purchase agreement. I'm just going to mention them real quick. We're not going to dive too deep in them like we would do in your veteran mortgage advisor training. But process one is called Tidewater. It's a notification that the appraiser is struggling to find value. It's a 48-hour period where buyers, agents, and lenders can try to work together to come up with information that might help the appraiser come to value. I myself just ran into this last week on a Friday at the end of the day. And lo and behold, the appraiser didn't have the right square footage measurements. But guess what? Before that appraisal was even given back, before a value was determined, we all had a chance to communicate and work with the appraiser to make the corrections before the appraisal even hit our desk. So that's great. That's an exceptional process that the VA allows that many lenders and realtors are not familiar with, or even if they know what it is, they don't know how it works. Now, the second process that the VA allows us is called a reconsideration of value. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a chance to double check the value that came in and potentially, this is the most important word here, potentially override that appraiser without that appraiser agreeing. Going over their head, going to the VA and saying, look, we just don't agree with this appraiser. Here's why. We're going to submit our logic and our documents to explain why we think this appraiser is wrong. And the VA actually has a well-documented process for that, and they'll work with us to try to come to value. Now, I don't want to dive into the whole process. That's a whole nother call. But I do want to point out that, as many times as we hear from veterans and lending professionals, real estate professionals, that the VA is going to give us a bad appraisal or a low appraisal, the VA actually tracks these things. And when it comes down to us seeing lenders and realtors trying to help the vet perhaps go through that reconsideration of process, the statistics are terrible. The last time I heard an official statistic from one of the regional VA loan center conferences, unfortunately it was in San Antonio before all the pandemic stuff came out, they were telling us, look, we created this process. You told us all as professionals you wanted a better process. So we created a process to help work through appraisal issues. And we track how many appraisals come in low nationwide. And guess what, guys? As many appraisals that you say come in low that you're having troubles with, only 0.25 to 0.35% of you even try to work with us to come to a higher value. And to me, that's a huge problem. The lending and real estate industry need to try to take advantage of the tools that are out there to help veterans get to the closing table and come to value on some of these transactions that are a little bit more sticky. What do you think about that, Ron?
That's just untrained professionals going out there, I don't know. So say they're probably doing their best. They're just not trained on what all the opportunities are, what all the options are. They haven't gone through the training at the Veteran Lending Council to really craft their skills. But here's the issue: is and I'm going to throw this at you, Fish. If I'm a lender and I were to go to the VA Regional Center or whatever they're called, however that is, I don't want to get technical either, but I've got 30 offers and the veteran is right in line with all other 30 offers. Is that going to carry weight with what the value of the property is?
The VA has the same rules as conventional as far as radius for the house and comparable data and all that kind of stuff. And actually, this is, again, I don't want to get too much into public history or public math. People start calling me out and looking stuff up. But anecdotally, we'll just say it that way. When the last mortgage crash happened, and basically there's a lot of bad appraisals out there. You and I both heard stories about people colluding and doing all kinds of things that should never happen again to change the appraisal process in itself. Now, what happened with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac when they saw a lot of this stuff going on, they took a look at the performance of the loans in their portfolios declining rapidly, and they saw that at the time, the VA loans weren't having the same problems. And, for years, people were saying, oh, these VA lenders were too conservative. Well, those loans didn't end up foreclosing. And Fannie and Freddie went back to the VA and adopted their standards for radiuses in comparable houses. So at this point, they're actually the same because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and HUD started aligning themselves more with the VA. So it's the same type of rules. People that are out there saying there's different rules for coming to value are quite frankly wrong, and they're not paying attention to what actually is happening. So yes, you will find an occasional appraiser that may be more conservative. Not going to argue with that. I mean, I've seen that all over the country. Yes, the VA has a process to report appraisers that are falling out of the median as far as appraising homes, and they track it and they got scorecards and they're looking for input and all that stuff. But as much as we know what the VA is trying to do, we also see that loan officers and realtors aren't taking advantage of the tools the VA gives them or helping the VA to report bad appraisers or helping the VA to possibly even hire more appraisers. So that's where I encourage people who want to get involved to join organizations like ours and to try to go to some of these lending conferences and try to communicate with some of these professionals in Washington, because I've found they actually do want to help the veterans and they do need more input from us, and they do need us to align with the processes that they put in place to help.
So that's it's another big win for the VA loan, in my opinion, just because, appraisers, in my opinion, are human, right? I haven't found too many of them that aren't, right? And, the fact, the way and again, like you said, Fish, there was a lot of problems in 2008 with the collusion. I think it was probably 3-4%, but that's what made the news and caused a lot of problems. So I think that a lot of the appraisers, even back then, were really good people, got carried up in a bad sweep in there and labeled, but, they're not perfect. And if they can be given some additional information, or like you said, I think it was earlier in this segment or the last segment, I had one also where an appraiser, it wasn't on a VA loan, they actually missed the casita in a property, right? Because it looked like it was an entrance to the garage. So there are mistakes like that happen, and it helps everybody in this system, where the veteran system, where they can actually go and make a comment, get 48 hours to get the additional information, or have it go to a higher authority. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. What are some of the things that are tip-offs that you've got a great lender helping you with the VA loan? We're going to talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Continuing our conversation, Michael Fischer, Veteran Lending Counsel, is with us. Fish leads a great team of people that are educating. They got a mission to educate lenders all over the country in all of the intricacies of the VA loan. And I'm going through their course right now. I think I'm just about done with it. But it's a great course. I never realized how much I didn't know before going through the course. And I'm going to guess that because I've been doing this for, I think I'm in my third decade now, that there's probably other lenders out there who love veterans. I mean, we work with Homes for Heroes. We give every veteran a discount on their loan. Our team does. So if you're thinking about that, call Nikki, tell her that you want the discount, and she'll give it to you anyway. It doesn't matter if you ask her or not. But there's some tip-offs that I think that I've seen here that tell you whether someone has gone through the training, spent the time to read the guidelines, or if you didn't go through the training, and they understand some of the issues. So give us some ideas here, Fish. The very first thing that you mentioned that'll give us an idea that I've got a great lender helping us before they and should be done, I think, before the pre-approval.
Absolutely, Ron. And sometimes these particular items that come up in the process might be yellow flags. Sometimes they might be red flags. It might be caution, but it might be a message to the veteran or to their real estate professional that lender just hasn't quite done the work. And doesn't mean that the vet will maybe not close or maybe not qualify. It just means perhaps they're not as organized as they should be. There could be a little bit of turbulence, if you will. So I think one of the biggest ones, one of the most important ones, one that was so important that the VA changed how they did the process completely, was making sure that the veterans actually have that certification from the federal government. They can actually even use the loan. And that certification is called a certification of eligibility. It's what I like to call the golden ticket. It's a piece of paper that tells the lending world you're good to go in trying to take this veteran through the pre-approval process. If you do your job on verifying their eligibility, income, assets, credit, and all that kind of stuff, then the federal government will guarantee that loan against foreclosure. The VA guarantee is what they call it. And the veteran is entitled to a certain amount of guarantee based on their time in service. So very important to understand that that's one of the number one things a lender that hasn't been trained or perhaps just doesn't always go through the steps they should go through should be doing with you if you're a veteran, or with your veteran customers if you're a real estate agent. They should be getting the certificate of eligibility before they even start the pre-approval, just like you said, Ron. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, but I think you're dating yourself, Fish, because you said that you have to get a piece of paper.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You get a PDF these days.
It's all electronic nowadays, isn't it? I don't know anybody that uses paper. Josh doesn't even know what paper is. He's one of the millennials out there.
Well, it's funny that you say that too, because sometimes people assume it's going to be a difficult process. In 50 to 65% of the cases, depending on where you're at in the country, those certificates pull almost automatically in the system. So you get a real quick yes or a real quick no.
I had a fun one, and it was, I don't know whether it was the certificate of eligibility or the DD-214, but we were helping a very aged veteran, and actually his documentation was all lost in the fire in St. Louis was it before it was digitized. So I don't even know what year that was, but it goes back a day or two. So
yeah, I've heard those stories that we run into that when we're talking to folks nationwide. And, that kind of leads me into one of the second mistakes that you see lenders make quite often. And that's, when they're interacting with veterans, they don't necessarily know, number one, that the veteran isn't aware of their benefits. Veterans don't get extensive training from the VA on what their future benefits will be. And the training that they do get in a transitions class, I believe they're called TAPS classes, is kind of at the end of the term when, it's like the high school senior party, basically. They're getting ready to leave the military, and here's some stuff on your benefits. I'm not sure that they're as tuned in at that moment as they might be a few years later when they're trying to put their finances together to buy a house. So, it's important to understand, as lenders and real estate professionals, the veterans are not going to know their housing benefit as well as you as the professional would know that. So, we oftentimes see housing and lending professionals calling things by the wrong term or asking veterans for documents they don't have. Like, Ron, for example, you just referenced the DD-214, and you're absolutely correct. Most veterans would need a DD-214 to process and get a copy of that certificate of eligibility. But what many lenders don't understand and completely miss is there's a whole component of the military when it comes to reservists or National Guard that may not have a DD-214. They may not have an activation period of active duty because that's not how they signed up to go through the military. There's a different set of forms. And if you ask somebody that went through that particular component of the military, they're going to look at you like you're crazy because you're asking for the wrong stuff, because you're not familiar with how their job worked and what they were doing to serve our country. So it's really important as lenders to step up and to at least get these things right. I've heard of many, almost too many veterans who were told they didn't qualify because they were told to get the wrong forms or sent down the wrong path to find those forms, just like you were alluding to, Ron. So that's
horrible because it really does a disservice to the veteran. And, we want to be out there. They've served for us, and they've put it all on the line for us. We can at least go and get educated and understand that, ask for the right forms. Don't send them on a wild goose chase. And that might be a good red flag or a yellow flag, as you put it, that, maybe if they don't know the initial forms that are needed, what else don't they know?
Now, here's another one, Ron, that I think is a red flag, whether you're a veteran or not, and you're just looking to buy a house. But I see it a lot in unfortunately, the headset jockey world, the cubicle jungle world, if you will, where we'll hear that a veteran comes to us with a pre-approval, and we start talking to them about what their payment might be, what range of interest rates they're expecting to get, how much cash they need to close, whether they've submitted all of their documents back to the lender to review. And we get, I guess, for lack of better words, a blank stare over the phone, or silence, if you will. And that is a huge, that one's not even a yellow. That's a red flag. If the professionals that you're working with don't care enough to slow down and show you how the numbers work, and if they don't care enough to vet all of your paperwork up front, what's going to happen when they need to move swiftly in today's market? Are they going to be prepared? I'm a firm believer the answer is no. And no, they're not going to be prepared. And sometimes they'll get lucky, and sometimes the veteran buyer or regular home buyer in this case will get lucky because they were able to find the stuff themselves, and they just luckily went through the process quickly. But in many cases, we hear about delays, and we hear one thing that just drives me insane. And I think this, to me, is also a red flag. We hear people blaming the VA. Well, the VA is slow at this stuff. Well, that the VA doesn't like to, move these appraisals along. Well, the VA scrutinizes all this stuff. Ron, that's just horse pucky. I was told I had to be careful about my words in the radio, so we're going to call it horse pucky today. So ultimately, the VA doesn't control a lot of these things. And I think the average veteran real estate agent just don't know this. They still think that lenders are sending documents to the VA to get these loans closed, and that's not the case. 99.9% of the lenders in this country that do VA loans have authority from the VA to do all the work themselves. They use the VA for guidance on rules, they use the VA for guidance on ordering appraisals, but all the work is done by the lender. So if something is done wrong, that's on the lender for not understanding the product, for not understanding the rules, for not understanding the process, or for, quite frankly, sucking at their job. So
that's a great way of putting it, because I know that I've seen the same things, I've heard the same things, and I know that if you're there's not one size fits all for anything, right? You don't want to go to a orthopedic surgeon if you need a heart transplant, right? And I know that I'm not dealing, I don't deal in life and death, but hey, you know something? Someone's house, someone's livelihood, that's pretty important to them. And we need to make sure that we understand that. And you're so right, Fish. I mean, I could pick up the phone and call our underwriter. I'm sure you can do the same thing. And you call the underwriter and say, here's what the scenario is. And they say, do blah, 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 blah. Or let's get on the phone and call the regional center. We get the answer in minutes. It's not but if you don't know where to go, if you're, as we put it, one of the headset agents that are just taking the easy stuff, because there's so many loans right now, right? They're cherry picking. They're saying, something, I might have to go an extra 2 or 3 steps to get this done the right way. I'll just send out a pre-approval and see what sticks. And that kind of throws one into me that you guys mentioned on your training. I'm going to submit that any semi-decent loan officer can get an automated approval anytime they want to, right? You just put in the information that the system wants and you get approved. Could be a bunch of junk, but you're going to get approved. But there's more reasons. I mean, Fish, you'll know the stats better than me, but in the mortgage meltdown 2008, 9, 10, the best performing loan on the market, from what I understand, was the VA loan. And they did not have the defaults. I don't know whether it's because of the upfront scrutiny or the ethics of veterans. I don't know what it was. But one of the things that I think maybe is, and it comes to your discussion, we only got about a minute left, is the veteran loan needs to look at the expenses of the household as well. And there's a few trips there, right?
100%. And also the VA was allowing folks to refinance without appraisal. The VA IRRRL, one of the best loans in the market. No income documentation for folks that lost job. As long as they were paying their bills, they allowed them to take advantage of the rates that were moving down. That played a huge part. Some people couldn't refinance until the HARP program came out. And by then, for some folks, it was just unfortunately too late. So that played a big part in it as well.
So you need to have somebody that understands that IRRRL program, because again, that's a great program. So I mentioned earlier that interest rates are going up, right? Well, they are, but they're not going to always be going up. They may go back down again. And, you need to have a lender that's watching these things for you. It shouldn't be you that calls the lender and says, hey, do I qualify for an interest to reduce my loan? No, you don't have, that shouldn't be happening. Your lender should be calling you and saying, hey, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, something, there's a program out there that we need to talk about and have a chat. Just a thought for you. Michael Fischer, I appreciate you coming on, sharing some with us. There's so much more that we could be talking about. We'll have to have you come back on again sometime very, very soon, but we do appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing out there for the community of loan officers, more important for the veterans, right? You're teaching all these loan officers how to do their job the right way and what some of these intricacies are. So I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you coming on. If you want more information about the Veteran Lending Council, just give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I'd be happy to put you in touch with Michael and his team. We're going to put the link in the show notes as well for the veteranmortgageadvisor.com. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh, who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
I'd like to call him something. I think I'll just call it a day.